Coming up this week on The Good Life, this famous farm started with tobacco and beef.
But now we're really happy that we've got a little enterprise that all four of us, mother, father, brother, all work here together.
We're taking you behind the scenes at the apple barn and cider mill to discover the rest of the story behind this apple enterprise. Plus, what makes these famous apple pies so tasty? We're taking you along with us inside the kitchen. And we can all use more help when it comes to saving time and money. The Good Life brings you some easy ways to do both. Plus,
my life is a life of firsts. I found that in living the right life and in learning how to do things the correct way, that my life is full of firsts.
And we're paying it forward to one of our neighbors now on a mission to show those behind bars it's never too late to make a fresh start. It's all coming up on The Good Life. Living the good life doesn't mean having everything you want. It means recognizing and appreciating what you have. Hello to you, I'm Kelli Parker. To me, living the good life means sharing family traditions and great stories, having a style that's all your own, and living with a go big or go home kind of spirit. Oh, and every good life sprinkles in the element of surprise. So pull up a chair and join us. I think you'll agree. Every day is better when it's served with a slice of the good life. To you and welcome to The Good Life. I'm Kelli Parker. We thank you so much for joining us. Well, it's part of Sevierville's past and an even larger part of its future. What started as a beef and tobacco farm with the Hicks and Kilpatrick families back in the 1960s has become a landmark in the Southeast where apples are king and you can see and taste tradition around every corner. It's an orchard of more than 4,000 fruit trees nestled on 60 acres in Sevierville. And this apple-loving way of life is truly a story of chance and determination. And we are here today at the Apple Barn and Cider Mill, and joining us today we have Kent Kilpatrick. Your family started this entire operation, right?
That is correct. It was a hobby turned into a passion and then I guess a career for a family. And my father was a drugstore operator, old-fashioned drugstore operator in the old town of Sevierville, Tennessee, and his neighbor across the way had Cash Hardware, and they invested in this farm.
A farm that would start with beef and tobacco but would soon need a change of direction.
Tobacco really had a bad year, and so we had a crop specialist come look at the tobacco, and he recommended our fruit trees were doing well. And so being the gateway to the national park and the visitorship that had to pass by the front, it was the idea hatched that maybe we could plant some more trees. Well, more trees turned into 3,000 trees.
So in 1976, those apple trees were planted. And in 1981, the Kilpatrick family would begin to see the fruits of their labor.
We pressure washed the cattle barn out, and that was the first year of the official apple barn. We sold a few apples out of the carport of the house and a few out of the actual barn itself. And so we were open about 3 weeks that first year, and sold every apple we had to the neighbors and locals that would come by going into the national park, and locked the doors, and Dad went back to the drugstore.
It's just amazing. You said your mom actually would sell these right off the carport, just kind of as a hobby really when things first began.
It was. My brother and I would run around in our pajamas, footed pajamas, and Mom would sit in the carport and just kind of keeping the house up, getting dinner ready, and when the neighbors would come by and stop in and ring the doorbell, and Mom would go out front and sell them a bag of apples, or they'd leave their money in the box, and then that was the very, very first beginnings of it.
And after several years, this family's hobby would continue to grow, turning even their home into part of this now full-time apple enterprise.
So that was a slow start for us, and then we moved out of the house, and as little boys, my brother and I played in these fields and we'd run, jump in the river and dig holes and garden, and we really didn't understand at that age that we were having to move out of our farmhouse. When we saw the fruits of the labor really come together, it was a proud time for Dad and Bon Hicks, and both of them are still in the operation. My father actually 81 and he's in there working right now. He'll be here every day.
Today, those original trees that started it all are still here on the property, along with 14 varieties of this delicious fruit.
Those trees are being phased out. It was hard for us to remove a 30-year-old tree that had sentimental value. But when they no longer crop, and we're trying to make sure that next generations and our kids can come up and see and grow, and the apple barn has to keep growing to be here. So we've had to remove those trees, and now we're looking at the new style of growing apples.
And Kent, we are now at the heart of the property. These were two of the original structures.
Yes, this is where it all began. We're our original oldest apple trees just over our shoulder here, and the barn behind us is over 100 years old. It was the original beef cattle and tobacco farm.
Here we are today, right?
We certainly did. It's one thing Dad likes to say, just come see, smell, and taste the fruits of our labor. So what things were grown here, we do full production things. And it began with a cider mill and just some pies. And as necessity and time went on, we grew into doing candy and ice cream and wines and the full-service restaurants on properties.
Now there's the store, 2 restaurants, an apple creamery, a candy kitchen, and even an apple winery. This brightly colored fruit is a daily reminder to the Kilpatricks of a dream that started on an ordinary East Tennessee farm. You have a lot of sentimental values and a lot of sentimental times right here on this property.
That's right. There's a picture in our office there that shows my brother and I when we were just little boys, and every time my dad would dig a hole to plant an apple tree, we would jump down in it. Dad would say, "Boys, get out of that hole, we've got to keep working." And so to have that real attachment and to be able to go and learn some new ways to grow and some new equipment and new tractors and to really just stay up on that has been fun to be involved in.
What is the legacy your family hopes to leave behind?
And the thing that we do is that it's unique to us is it's truly a working farm and a family environment, and it takes a lot of work to keep up a farm, and there's always something to do. So we want to not necessarily grow much more, but be able to maintain the quality that people have come to expect and the service here that they've come to expect, and keep growing the apples.
A tradition and legacy that's centered around those famous apple pies. So what's the Apple Barn's secret? Coming up, we take you inside the Apple Barn kitchen. Is there any way you could tell us maybe some of the secret ingredients involved? As we try and discover the tricks of the trade when it comes to these one-of-a-kind sweet treats.
You know, I'd be back in prison right now if it wasn't for Focus teaching me how to live out what God was doing in me.
Coming up, he spent years behind the prison walls. Now he's choosing to go back inside to help others. We pay it forward to one of our neighbors still ahead. But first, it's time for this week's Good Life hack. So, can't decide if you're hungry? Well, ask yourself if you want an apple. Studies show if the answer is no, then you're probably bored, not hungry. Who knew? More Good Life hacks coming your way after the break. The Good Life presented by Knoxville Wholesale Furniture and Medeiros.
Introducing Marchesa by Bernhardt. Creating a sophisticated look while maintaining a casual comfort is the goal of Marchesa, a neo-traditional collection that pairs classic forms with contemporary finishes. European elements are distinctly recognizable, but the group carves out its own modern path. The unique mix of materials and finishes combines to create an appealing, earthy palette that exudes luxury while remaining understated, exclusively at Knoxville Wholesale Furniture.
Want to cut your energy bills by 20, 30, even 50% like I did? I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. I've done the research. Medeiros delivers energy-saving solutions. With eShield reflective technology and insulation, Medeiros transforms your attic and living space into heating and cooling cocoons, keeping your home warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Cut your costs just like I did. Call Medeiros today for a free estimate and real results.
Welcome back, everyone. So, are you feeling a little stressed? Well, it's time to call in another fruit to rescue us. Studies show that smelling or eating an orange can reduce your stress by up to 70%. So bring on the citrus and push back the tension. More Good Life hacks coming up later in the show. We all love a good recipe, and the really good ones are handed down from generation to generation for us all to enjoy. So when it comes to the Apple Barn, you'll see the old-fashioned way of making things is still alive and well. From the vintage tools to the techniques of yesterday, at the Apple Barn, mixing the old traditions with a little modern flair is just part of the day's work. And we are now inside the candy kitchen here at the Apple Barn, and this is really like stepping back in time. Tell us about this.
It certainly is. We're the only people that we're aware of that still do this process. It's old-fashioned stick candy pulled by hand. So it's similar to taffy, but it's actual stick candy, and we do peppermint pillows, porthound, and all flavors of assorted fruit varieties. But it's all hand-pulled, handmade, and very, very hard to do, and it's like a lost art.
It really is a lost art, and it smells fantastic in here. Cinnamon in the air. Let's try a piece of this.
Right.
A piece for the road. And it's still warm. Good stuff. So what's the secret in this candy heaven? Well, Kent says they only use the highest quality of flavoring extract, so you can taste the goodness in every sugary bite. Speaking of tasty goodness, and it's apple pie magic time. These are truly known across the country.
Yes, they are. This is a fun place to grow up when you could run in here and grab a fried apple pie, and it wasn't easy. I always had to shop in the Husky section and get my blue jeans.
Talk about the recipe. You say there's a story behind the recipe for the famous apple pie.
Well, there is, and it's the main part of the story is it's the original one from 1981 that hasn't changed, that was handed down from Mrs. Kent that would sit and hand peel all the apples right here in this kitchen. So it's pretty special.
Today, this American favorite is still hand-rolled, spooned, and shaped with those same values. Each apple-loving employee making about 75 pies every hour.
On a busy day on the weekends, we'll sell several thousand, over 5,000 on a Saturday, Sunday in the fall busy season.
Is there any way you could tell us maybe some of the secret ingredients involved?
I believe I'd be in the doghouse if I did that.
In big trouble. A secret family recipe that will live on for generations. But this is the main attraction, or one of them, right?
It sure is. It's really one of the foundations of the Apple Barn, and it's something that has always been here, and hopefully it always will be.
And we love the Apple Barn. By the way, family-owned and operated businesses still exist. Kent says you can drop by the Apple Barn almost any day of the week and find his brother Kevin, his mom Georgia, or his dad Bill, even Kent himself, right there on property surrounded by apples. Still to come here on The Good Life. Coming up after the break, an incredible story of inspiration. One man's journey to start a new life after going down the wrong path.
I don't have to worry about near as much, and the worries of this life are very simple worries now. You know, they're worries that, you know, I hope my wife knows that I love her.
Still ahead, we pay it forward to our neighbor helping others turn that corner. That's coming up. But first, and we love our summertime drinks and our freshly squeezed juices. Coming up, a good life hack that will help you serve up a summertime favorite with lots less hassle.
You got decisions, we got solutions. TrustDale.com.
Cut your energy costs by 20, 30, even 50% with Madeira's E-Shield reflective technology and insulation, like I did. For utility savings and home performance improvements, you can trust Madeira's. Call Madeira's today.
Welcome back. Are you making freshly squeezed juices? Did you know that by microwaving your favorite fruits beforehand for 15 seconds, you'll actually get 30% more juice? Are you skeptical? Try it. Saving time and money, now that's living the good life. Well, it's time once again this week to pay it forward to one of our neighbors who makes each of us want to live better and give back in ways we were blessed to do so. Our guest this week is proof it's never too late to turn your life around, regardless of your past. For David Seneker, the 45-minute drive to Morgan County Correctional is time he does not take for granted.
The ride up for me is, you know, that's anytime that I'm in the car, it's me and God. And so it's really just our time to talk about the day that I've been through, or what he's preparing me for, or you know, giving me something to say to these guys on a Tuesday night, or, you know, the drive up here is different.
But that drive every Tuesday isn't where his journey ends when he pulls into the parking lot. It's actually where it all begins.
My prison journey started out here, and I had been here for a few months, and this is where God set me aside to show me who he really was. So that's, you know, my journey with him started when I made one selfless decision about he put somebody in my life I could love more than I love myself. Then it kind of cracked the door for Jesus to begin to get in my heart.
With that opening and some love from the Focus Ministry staff, a group providing encouragement and hope to families dealing with violence. David's life would change from a life of drug abuse and crime to a life of greater purpose, with the focus of helping his former fellow inmates.
I'll tell you, the first time that I came up here to lead a group in this camp was a pretty spiritual experience for me, to be able to walk in and out of the fence again without without having to make parole, or without so it was pretty amazing to be able to come do that. But so it was my life is a life of firsts. I found that in living the right life and in learning how to do things the correct way, that my life is full of firsts. You know, the first time that I owned my own vehicle and had insurance and was absolutely legal. The first time that I went to the beach that I had money to do something with. The first time that I was able to come in here and actually leave. The first time, and it's over and over again in my life. It's a life of firsts. You know, the first time I'm able to own a home. The first time I'm able to sponsor somebody. The first time I'm able to do things in the right capacity.
But for David, his new life would not be completely without worries. Only this time, he knows exactly where to turn for help.
You know, and my past life has been so different than my new life, and the old me was so different than the new me that God is building, and so it's, you know, I don't have to worry about near as much, and the worries of this life are They're very simple worries now, you know. They're worries that, you know, I hope my wife knows that I love her, and the worries of, you know, I hope I can do a good enough job at work tomorrow, or, you know, so my worries have changed considerably, and with my heart and with the rest of me. When I came out of prison, I had my mind and my heart in the right place, but being able to put action to that and being able to live out what God was doing in me was beyond me. And so without the help and the dedication of the people at Focus to kind of take me under their wing and steer me in the right directions, and you know, at times I'm sure it was hard for them because I was stubborn, but you know, I'd be back in prison right now if it wasn't for Focus teaching me how to live out what God was doing in me. And you know, it's kind of the old where the rubber meets the road.
So tonight, David will tell his story at a fundraiser for those who share his mission to help rehabilitate others.
For me, recovery, and it's all about being invested. And if I can get invested in their life and let them know that somebody thinks they're worth it, then it makes all the difference in their life.
Well, on behalf of The Good Life and on behalf of the Island in Pigeon Forge, we want to thank you for all that you do and the inspiration that you continue to provide to so many people out there, especially within the walls of the prisons you go to. And they would like to offer you and your family a wonderful dinner at Paula Dean's Family Kitchen on them, just as a thank you for being so inspirational.
Thank you so much.
What does something like that, just a little something, mean to you?
You know what? It always seems like it's at the perfect time.
And congrats to Dave. He has a bright future ahead. To nominate our next Good Life surprise guest, you can log on to mygoodlifetv.com. Coming up next week on The Good Life, a special guest with a special message for East Tennesseans.
No, I can feel it every time I come to the state. I can feel it. I can feel it. And it feels good.
It feels fantastic.
It feels so good.
We sit down with the one and only Paula Dean, who tells us about her new cookbook, Cutting the Fat, and her inspiration behind this project. And if you think I love thrift stores, well, this Southern belle puts me to shame. Paula tells us how secondhand stores are inspiring some of her upcoming projects and much more. You don't want to miss this inspiring message. It's next Thursday right here on The Good Life.
Well, it's good to be alive.
So that's it. To our crew, that's what it means to live the good life.
This feeling's running high.
It means hard work and a passion for what you do every day. It means visualizing the legacy you want to leave behind for future generations. It means turning lemons into lemonade and a chance to help others with their new beginnings. Thanks so much for inviting us into your home this week. And remember, every day is better when it's served with a slice of the good life. And we hope you agree. We'll see you back here next week.